Hi, and welcome back. This is Wendy Williams. I am super excited to be here today with Ivan Mervis with Dogwood Tutoring in Sandy Springs. Hi, how are you?
Good morning, Wendy. All is well, thanks.
Good. Well, thank you for joining me today. I really wanted to spend some time with you, as you know, to talk about testing and what the future might hold for SAT and ACT. So why don't we just get started with telling the viewers, if you don't mind, a little bit about Dogwood Tutoring.
Okay. I started Dogwood Tutoring 9 years ago, and we're here in Sandy Springs. I have a 2,000 square foot tutoring center, which has been vacant. It's just me since March because of the pandemic. But we have about 10 tutors, and we do all subjects. We do SAT, ACT, SSAT test prep. And it's all one-on-one, usually here in the center, but these days it's on Zoom or other video conferencing.
Right. And how many tutors do you all have?
Roughly 10.
Okay. And do you find that the tutors are finding the Zooming working out well? Are there any frustrations, or is it the typical everybody seems just to be getting in place with it?
Considering it's not as good as being there, it does fit the bill quite well. There are the occasional technical hiccups, but generally speaking, it works well. I miss it because I don't get to see the students or talk to the tutors after the sessions, which is something we would usually be able to do when they're coming and going. I would brief them on students or get some feedback after sessions. So I miss that, but otherwise it works pretty seamlessly.
Well, I've been to your tutoring place of business multiple times, and it's a beautiful facility. So I'm sure the students and the tutors miss you as well. It's very welcoming, very warm. I love it. So I feel your pain here at Williams Educational. It's quite bare. Nobody really wants to come in. It's all virtual. Seems to be easier. It does get the job done. But I hope this time will pass and that we can regroup and have face-to-face.
Amen.
So, well, let's dive in. SAT, ACT, there's a lot of uncertainty with testing, locations, availability. So tell me, what are you telling your families with SAT and ACT?
Well, it was horrible over the summer. SAT was canceled in June, but ACT, pretended like they could do it, and they only got a fraction of the students tested because most of the centers closed. So now it's hopefully back in gear. The SAT this past Saturday, there was, about half the centers had canceled. So it's still an issue with cancellations because of the pandemic. But the good news is ACT in some parts of the country is starting to do what they call pop-up test centers, which is hotels or convention, meeting spaces that they hire, and those are less prone to close, compared to a school where, you got a school board or a principal who's, got to be politically correct and safe. It's all about safety. So, plus ACT has, 3 tests in September and 4 in October. So they're trying to catch up. There's a lot of pent-up demand out there. So right now, the big emphasis is on seniors, class of 21. And it's, remains to be seen if we can get them all tested.
Yes.
There are high schools that are doing these, what they call unlisted or, test dates.
Right.
And that's helping, but it's still a capacity problem.
Well, do you think ACT is doing a better job at trying to give families the availability than SAT?
I think ACT is trying to catch up from some bad press that they had over the summer. And they're basically, throwing everything against the wall and seeing what sticks. So I think both agencies are against the same, enemy, which is the virus. And it's, there's no solution. It's just you have to convince as many schools or pop-up centers, just open as much as you can and try to get as many people tested.
The pop-up centers are new. How do families find out about these pop-up centers?
Well, right now I understand there's 8 cities, mainly in the northeast, that have these. And when you go to sign up, um, under, where the list of test centers that are available for the date you want, they will show XYZ hotel.
Okay, all right. Not here yet in the South, though.
Not that I've heard.
So I haven't heard of any either. Do you think that the future is bleak for testing, or do you think that once the pandemic dies down and things sort of go back to normal, do you think colleges, admissions officers are still going to want these tests?
Well, that's your area more than mine, to be honest with you. So I try not to speculate on that.
Right.
Right now it's all about trying to help these seniors, get through their process. And there's still a lot of kids, even though colleges have gone test optional, there are still students who would benefit by taking these tests.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem, trying to get them prepared and not pull the rug out from them under them, because that's been the big issue where, when school, just found out, at 10 o'clock the night before the test that the test center was closed. It was not pandemic related necessarily, but it's a very frustrating thing for students and parents to do all the prep and then not be able to test. So that has to be dealt with somehow.
Absolutely. Give me 1 or 2 tips that you're giving families with test prep during these times.
Well, because there's such a logjam of seniors waiting to test, it's really their time. We are starting to see more juniors, and there were a fair number of juniors over the summer, as usual, for September ACTs. And so, again, at this point in the season, it's, there's a lot of choices, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. So at this point, the timing of it is a matter of practicality. What activities does your student have? That, is there a busy season? And, because you don't want to lay test prep and testing on top of a football player schedule or a cheerleader schedule. So, it's that kind of practical concern. And it's the same old, kind of thing with, has the junior taken Algebra 2? So if you haven't taken Algebra 2 yet, then they would want to wait until mid-year before they start thinking about test prep and testing. So the considerations are much the same. It's just how to calm people down so they can put in perspective what is the need, because that is what it all boils down to. And that's where people like you can help them assess, where they want to go and how much testing will help them to get in.
Right. And it does depend on each individual student. And so by looking at, their activities, their course rigor, their grades, these are things that can really help supplement testing. And then testing can help supplement those activities as well. So it is very individualized, but it always is, right? And there's always been test optional schools. Now more than ever, we have an increase of test optional, but that doesn't necessarily mean that students should go test optional.
Correct.
So, well, and I know there's a lot to talk about between the differences between SAT and ACT, and I would welcome the opportunity to really dive into that at another time. I really wanted to bring you in and talk to you about the pandemic and how things are holding up at Dogwood Tutoring and seeing if there's any changes going on. So I appreciate you very much coming in and talking with me about this issue that we are seeing for our students and families. Before we go, tell me, what brings you joy, especially during these times?
I like to get out on a holiday or a weekend and do a lot of walking or outdoor activities, whether it's painting the mailbox or just taking a hike in the park. That to me is a beautiful thing, and if I can put my earbuds in and listen to some music while I'm doing it, that makes it even more fun.
Do you have a go-to soundtrack?
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers are still my favorite.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, let us tell the viewers how to contact you, Ivan. That's very important.
Well, the website is dogwoodtutoring.com, and I'm also on Instagram with Dogwood Tutoring, at Dogwood Tutoring. And the website gives you most of the information, but please give a call and be glad to help. And this is all about customizing for each student. So, it's hard to give broad answers, generalized, because
Absolutely.
it is much to do about each.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we will talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.